I'm sorry, I don't. It doesn't matter to me either way. But I'm just like, as a big boob woman, I'm not offended by it.
Oh God. Okay, so this is where it gets hit PC. More than once in our conversation, he referred to both sides, suggesting there were bad actors involved on both ends of the spectrum.
You're one of them. You are one of them. Stop pretending like you are not.
I asked if he wanted farm folks to court the kind of players that join the Discord in bad faith or who believe that boobies should be bouncing at 150% physics. This was his response. So he
edited for brevity and clarity, meaning I edited it the way I wanted it to be.
He said, we don't want vulgarity because it can be fun, it can be goofy, it can be memey, but we're not going to go after over-sexualized goofiness. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was weird in a farm sim that they were, but again, they said this is kind of just their sense of humor. They've been doing this for a while.
They make jokes like this all the time. It's kind of like goes with what people expect.
Yeah. We listened to our community. We heard that sometimes we talk about like implementing jiggle physics, right? And we obviously have tons of settings for any kind of physics, like body parts, just like, we can do it with soft spots on the butt and we can do it with chest. I mean, look, these games are more and more advanced. We're not dealing with sprites. They're going to, whatever. To answer your question, no. We don't want to attract nasty people.
You're interviewing her. Yeah, we're interviewing with her.
True. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Saladino.
Farming in our game is so satisfying you'll never tire of it. First you till the ground, then sow some seeds. More seeds. Then you water plots. Look how moisturized your plots are getting. And get ready to harvest your crops. Soon you'll also be able to fertilize and crossbreed crops.
Farm Folks is such a tiny little indie game that I hadn't even heard of it before. And it's not like I'm Uatu of video games or anything, but I pay attention to indie games. And I've actually gotten into at least watching YouTubers who talk about cozy games. Like I actually bought one of these farm simulator games. It's called, I think it's My Time at Sandrock. There's a couple of them. So I got the first one. I haven't played it yet. It's still in my backlog. And that's the thing about, talk about AAA and giving up on AAA because of all the DEI bullshit and all the other nonsense that's in these games now. There's so many games on my backlog. I probably would never really need to play a new game ever again. But to keep an eye out on stuff like this. And I follow YouTubers who talk about exclusively indie games. And I hadn't even heard of Farm Folks. Yet they've been dragged into the culture war in such a silly, nonsense way. So these people, they put out a tweet or a couple of tweets. They're engaging with their audience. And it's one of those things where if their audience doesn't like it, they can tell them. Why other people swooping in on it? But all right, folks, it's time for some serious game development talk. We're tinkering with character physics of Farm Folks. Burning question. Which version has the perfect breast jiggle physics? And I guess in the tweet, which has been taken down since, there was a side-by-side image of different percentages of how the boobs would bounce and move, as the little character ran around. And then there's a follow-up tweet saying, does anyone want to see what 150% looks like? And it got a little thinking emoji. Fine, it's no big deal. It's obviously cheeky. It's meant to be kind of funny. And again, they're engaging with their audience. But then you have these cows. They have to jump in and go, this ain't it. As you can imagine, boobs are a sensitive subject, especially since women have been subject to a lot of vitriol in gaming lately and the latest discourse regarding sexualization of characters. If this is indeed has body positivity intention, then in future it may be worth changing that. And then they said more, and then I think it was Dark Park Place did this screenshot, so they didn't click on the show more. They didn't care. And then they go, additionally, if your bio disclosed that the game is meant to be an adult farming simulator, then that might hurt people's reaction to this post a little bit. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't have hurt anybody's reaction to it because the people who actually cared about this in the community would have said, hey, I don't like this, or I don't even know if they would have. I don't know how many people in the community would care that much about it. It didn't seem to be that much. But Black Girl Gamers, of course, they got involved. They boosted. And then, of course, the other usual assholes like Alyssa Mercante got involved. This thing about, as you can imagine, boobs are a sensitive subject. They're not a sensitive subject with anybody but people who are overly sensitive about these things. That's the whole problem with Black Girl Gamers and Sweet Baby Inc. is the fact that they have a very inhuman response to very simple, normal things like straight men finding women attractive. And so, of course, Farm Folks deleted the tweets. And then the CEO did this public humiliation ritual thing where he apologized for getting it wrong, whatever. Right? People told him don't do it. Grums was like, this is not the move. Don't do this. You're only playing into their hands. You would literally get more people to support you if you stood up to this nonsense, because it's not a big deal for jiggle physics to be in games. Again. The people who are complaining about this stuff are not gamers. They don't care about this stuff. And again, even if they were gamers and they did care about this stuff, it's not up to them what goes into a game that they could decide to buy or not buy. They're literally attacking these people. And there's one thing, again, so if they want to take this position as political activists in gaming to decide that an indie development studio can't make breast physics and can't make joke tweets and cheeky tweets about it, fine. But you can't be an indie studio who has gotten barely any attention at all, and you're trying to make money, you're trying to make a living, you're trying to do something that's creative and fun and have your own personal stamp on a farming simulator or whatever. You can't keep buckling just because somebody complains, especially since gamers are telling you over and over again, you don't need to do that. We've got your back. We will support you, just out of spite to them, to show that these people have no place in gaming. They don't belong here. It's one thing if you got these people working at Sony and they're forcing developers to hire Black Girl Gamers or Sweet Baby Inc. to ruin their games. It's another if you're just this indie development company who you know people will literally rally behind you. But no, this guy, this CEO of Farm Folks, Alice Kolshelkov, he does an interview with Alyssa Mercante with Kotaku, and of course he misrepresents them. When I started to do this video, and there was plenty of videos I want to do before this, a lot of stuff been going on, but this one stood out because it's just so silly. This is this little indie company. Why are you attacking this little indie company over something that's so harmless and silly? It's not a big deal. Why are you making a big deal of this? So I'm going to do this video. So I start to read this article about the initial apology, the actual article Kotaku put up, but I couldn't finish it. I don't think I even got halfway, maybe a quarter of the way. So the article starts off, though, on April 29th, an in-development farm sim from Krytivo, called Farm Folks, shared a now-deleted post about breast jiggle physics on its official X/Twitter account that kickstarted a firestorm, emboldened gaming's baddest actors, Black Girl Gamers, and wreaked havoc in the game's official Discord. The team behind the studio has since apologized, but the aftermath lingers. Oh, God. Leaving confusion and doubt about the company's true intentions in its wake. True intentions. They literally just posted images of their little character running around with different varying degrees of jiggle physics in a video game. That's all they did. I spoke to the CEO of Krytivo, Alex Kolshelkov, about the post, jiggle physics, bad actors, including Mercante herself, and more, to try and paint a clearer picture. This is the same person who lied about Sweet Baby Inc. and their attack on a guy because he made a Steam list letting people know the games they worked on, and how Sweet Baby tried to get the guy's personal Steam account banned. Yet she's the one who's going to paint a clearer picture on something that isn't even worth writing an article about. You think Mercante, of all people, supposedly being a sex worker, she, more than anyone, would appreciate that men like women. But instead, this asshole takes every chance she gets to attack them for it. They've dragged Farm Folks into the Stellar Blade discourse. And the Stellar Blade discourse shouldn't even be a discourse. People should just be happy to see a game with an attractive character, a group of attractive women in it that has, fun gameplay or whatever. Even that, you can't just get away with, hey, here's a game with a sexy character in it. Here's her cool, sexy outfits. No, it has to be censored. And then when people say it shouldn't be censored, take this guy out. Take him out for not wanting censorship in games. And the censorship is only there because of people who treat everything like it's their soapbox. And that's the thing. So this article is crazy because the way it came out, when it was published, people started doing videos about how the CEO, who was on this public humiliation tour, was insulting gamers and telling them that they need to go get a real woman, and we don't want nasty people who want to see jiggle physics in our community and all this stuff. But the guy comes out later after the article's out, and there's a bunch of videos saying, hey, this guy, he's ruined his game for making his public apology and now insulting gamers who tried to defend him. But he's like, no, I didn't do that. She mischaracterized my words. And this is hilarious. This is funny to me. So this guy, the CEO, he puts out a tweet. He goes, hi, Alyssa. You've been using me as a tool against your enemies, and not sure if it was intentional or accidental. You misrepresented a few of my points. In our dialogue, you agreed that it's all cool to have women's breast movement in games. You reached me for clarification yourself, and then refuse to share it with your readers on X. So, and then he puts out, or he shows, I guess, his Discord messages, or... So, Mercante goes, "Hi, Alex. I notice you have been replying to people saying I intentionally misrepresented one of your quotes. What did you mean to say? I recorded our entire conversation and went over it with transcription." The AI transcription. "Hi, Alyssa. I strongly believe that this sentence was taken out of context to support a specific narrative and goal. I believe it's part of a larger context where you and I agreed that having a breast physics in the game is acceptable. The quote that you shared was my response to people that are offended by the breast movement in the game. I'm clarifying what I meant since it seems it was taken out of a bigger context and I probably didn't choose the best words to express it. I didn't intend to hurt anyone or call names, but it's being interpreted this way now." Yeah, people was lighting him up in these other YouTube videos. "Can you be so kind and share with me the recording?" So he goes, "People are harassing me because my point is misrepresented as well." And then Mercante goes, "I want you to tell me what part of the above quote you believe should be included in that section to properly represent you. Or if you'd like me to use what you said earlier. It was more linked to people who got upset that we had natural breast movement in the game, but they saw it as sexual intent. It was not. I mentioned to you even though we can disable it, it will be a loss because I think in the way we're doing it, it's natural and sensitive. The goal is for players to properly represent themselves in the game. We're not aiming for over-exaggerations." Koshlikov insisted, "The goal is to make it very elegant and very sensitive to women and their bodies. You have to be a very poor person to kind of sexualize this. Like the internet is full of sex right now. There's some crazy things that you can find if you're having problems with our characters, like look for help. Maybe go and date a woman or something like that, because this is not our goal. We don't want to attract people that are attracted to only these body parts. This is the quote in the piece." Then Alex goes, "This is hilarious. Like, he never should have done this interview in the first place, but this is hilarious. You're cutting most important part of it, I think." He goes, "Hi, Alyssa. I strongly believe that this sentence was taken out of a context to support a specific narrative and goal. I believe it's part of a larger context where you and I agreed that having a breast physics in the game is acceptable. The quote that you shared was my response to people that are offended by the breast movement in the game. I'm clarifying what I meant since it seems it was taken out of a bigger context, and I probably didn't choose the best words to express it. I didn't intend to hurt anyone or call names, but it's being interpreted this way now." "So you want me to include that statement? Are you denying that you said what I have quoted?" Then he goes, "Is that what I said?" Smiley face. Don't do a smiley face to this. That I'm denying it? I'm explaining what I meant. Okay, so then I guess there's a screenshot of the tweet, and he's like, "I thought you said you'll post my clarification." So Alyssa Mercante goes, "It was brought to my attention that the Creativo CEO was replying to people on here saying I misrepresented one of his quotes. I reached out to him via Discord DM and asked where he felt he was misrepresented. The entire section of our over hour-long conversation, unedited, is now..." So I guess whatever. Then she goes, "Your statement is at the end of the piece. Is it in your tweet? Because I don't see it there." She goes, "My tweet is not the piece. It's in the piece." "You don't think it's important to clarify it there as well?" "It's in the piece." "I got that, yeah. In your tweet, you're saying you reached out to me for clarification, and then you didn't include it. It just feels a bit off, and probably is going to mislead your readers still." "I am not a service. You do not get to dictate to me how I represent you. Goodbye." And of course, this is what she's going to say. Now, this is what she is. This is what she does. The whole Gamergate 2.0, again, it popped off because she wrote this absurd article where she omitted the most important detail of the whole Sweet Baby Inc. backlash. Sweet Baby Inc. brought it on themselves when they attacked Cabrutus in the Steam detected list, or the Sweet Baby Inc. detected Steam list. She'd never mentioned that. And then other people who followed up didn't mention it either. And they act like they're the ones being harassed when she did the thing where she decided how she was going to represent the backlash. She didn't do it truthfully. And this is such a weird thing. Like, she's a journalist. Like, how many Pulitzer Prize winners? I'm sure there's always been corrupt journalists, of course. But how many Pulitzer Prize winners do you think would actually speak to someone they interviewed like this? To treat them like they're just this chud that they can just dismiss. This is somebody who she reached out to, apparently, to get his statements and clear up the confusion. And then she added to the confusion because that's who she is. And it's hilarious. There's a part where I said this to him during our interview, but the foreign folks' CEO's attempts to not be political are very naive in the current climate. His replies are very telling. This is hilarious because, again, the whole culture war thing is people who want to make things political. Activists who are not gamers, angry at gamers for not accepting their activism in the space. Her head is so far up her ass that she doesn't stop to think, well, not everybody is going to see the world the way I do. Not everybody, especially in a hobby where people are telling you, the large majority of the people in the hobby are saying, we don't want this here. Yet you've treating them like the enemy because you're like, no, I'm going to change this. I don't care if you don't want this. I'm here to change it. Not here to provide this for people who want it. I'm here to impose this on people who don't want it and then treat them like they're the bad guys when they say, no, I don't want this. Like the McDonald's thing. So people go to McDonald's. Then you got a bunch of vegans come in and go, no, you're going to eat this tofu burger instead. I don't like tofu. You're a horrible person. You want to destroy the planet. You need to be executed. You need to. So she does that. Then the next tweet she goes, you got pulled into a culture war because you don't have a CM who knew that titty physics wasn't the move, chief. Then you apologized. Then the titty physics gooners got mad that you apologized, and then I interviewed you. Them's the breaks. You can't spell breaks. I'm trying to picture, I don't know, Susan Sontag or Joan Didion or somebody speaking to someone that they've interviewed this way, or just, it's so, again, the lack of professionalism. Like talking to this guy like this. And the guy, he's still trying to be polite and respectful and gentlemanly or whatever. And he's like, hi, Alyssa. You've been using me as a tool against your nemesis, and I'm not sure if it was intentional or accidental. You misrepresented a few of my points. In our dialogue, you agreed that it's all cool to have women's breast movement in games. You reached for me for clarification yourself, and then refused to share it with your readers on X. And this is the best part. Where she goes, hi, Alex. I'm not a PR person. This is the same bitch who wrote this bullshit article that started this whole Gamergate 2.0 nonsense in the first place, where she literally was the PR person, the mouthpiece for Sweet Baby Inc., to lie for them, to mischaracterize what was happening, and then she's been acting like a complete ass about it ever since. And yet she's the one telling somebody now that she's not a PR person. You spoke to me for over an hour. The entire copy of our conversation was never going to be published in a piece. I maintain that your attempts to remain neutral are naive, as I told you, and I wish you luck. This is what he gets for even deleting the original tweet in the first place. I don't care if these people don't learn this lesson, though. If they don't learn this lesson, then fine. They're going to lose out on support. They're going to lose out on sales. They're going to let these people drive them into a ditch. Now, speaking of professionalism, at this point, he knows. He's still being professional, but like, hi, Alyssa, you've been using me as a tool against your nemesis, and I'm not sure if it was intentional or accidental. He knows it is intentional. Thing is, though, too, he's like, you've been using me as a tool against your nemesis. The very first backlash, the very first attacks from black girl gamers, and the fact that she reached out to him, apparently, I'm believing Mercante must have been the one to go to the CEO dude for the article. He was already, his company, his game was already being used as a tool against their nemesis, their political enemies. And again, as insane as this sounds when you take a step back and look at it, Black Girl Gamers, Mercante, Kotaku, Sweet Baby Inc., their political enemy are the actual customers of the hobby they've invaded.
Oh my God. I felt more than a little bit of whiplash while talking to him. In one breath, he'd say something like, everyone is welcome. In another, he'd bemoan the existence of radicals on both sides.
You're one of them. You're one of them.
He told me he was talking to me with an open heart, but made a comment about the press twisting words.
Yes, because, it's almost like people realize that certain people that are doing articles for, say, places like Kotaku, twist things around.